Su-Jin checked her reflection in the small mirror one last time. Her dark hair was neatly tied back, and her new uniform fit perfectly. Today was important. Today, she made history as the first human to ever step foot in the Galactic Science Academy. Message from Captain. Docking in 3 minutes, the ship's computer announced. Su-Jin took a deep breath. At 23 years old, she was the youngest scientist Earth had ever sent to space, but also the smartest. Her work on dark matter propulsion had changed how humans thought about space travel. That work had opened this door for her, but would it be enough? The ship shuddered as it connected to the Academy's main dock. Su-Jin grabbed her small bag and walked to the exit. The door slid open with a soft hiss. She stepped out into a massive, gleaming hall. The Academy was even more impressive than the pictures. The ceiling arched high above, shimmering with what looked like captured starlight. Beams of all shapes and colors moved about with purpose. Some had scales, others had too many limbs to count, and a few seemed to be made of light itself. And they all stopped to stare at her. Su-Jin stood straight and walked forward. In her head, she repeated what her mentor had told her. "You earned this. You belong there." A tall, blue-skinned official approached. He had 4 arms and eyes that blinked sideways. "Human female Su-Jin, I presume." His voice was flat, almost bored. "Yes, that's me. Thank you for." "Follow me for processing," he interrupted, turning away without waiting for her to finish. Su-Jin bit her lip and followed him across the hall. She felt the stares of hundreds of alien eyes. Some looked curious, others dismissive, and a few seemed almost angry at her presence. The official led her to a small room where he scanned her credentials and took her biometric data. "Your quarters are in Section 7, Level 3. The Academy's rules have been sent to your device. The orientation for new arrivals begins in 1 hour in Hall B. Don't be late." With that, he left, not bothering to show her the way. Su-Jin found a map on her device and began walking toward her quarters. As she turned a corner, she bumped into someone. "Sorry, she began. "Watch where you're going, human," snapped a male voice. The speaker was humanoid, but with golden skin and pointed ears. His eyes were pure black, no whites at all, and they narrowed as he looked at her. "I'm Do-hyun of the Nari," he said, straightening his elaborate silver uniform. "You must be the experiment." His mouth curved into what might have been a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I'm Su-Jin, Earth's representative, and I'm not an experiment." Do-hyun laughed, the sound like glass breaking. "Earth, a backwater planet that barely figured out basic space travel. Tell me, do they still use fossil fuels there?" 2 other aliens nearby snickered. "We've moved beyond that," Su-Jin said, keeping her voice steady. "My work on dark matter is primitive at best," Do-hyun cut in. "The Nari mastered dark matter manipulation 3 centuries ago. Whatever theories you have, we've already proven or disproven them." He stepped closer. "Let me give you some advice, human. The Academy accepted you as gesture, a way to include less advanced species. Don't mistake it for thinking you belong here." The 2 aliens with him laughed again. One of them whispered something in a language Su-Jin's translator didn't catch. "I earned my place here," Su-Jin said, her hands curling into fists at her sides. "Of course you did," Do-hyun said with fake kindness. "Just like a child earns a gold star for trying hard." He walked past her, deliberately bumping her shoulder. "See you at orientation, Earth girl." Su-Jin watched them walk away, her face burning. She took another deep breath and continued toward her quarters. Inside the small room, she put down her bag and looked out the window at the vast space beyond. Stars stretched into infinity, reminding her of how small she was, how small Earth was. But she wasn't just representing herself. She represented all of humanity. "They can ignore me," she whispered to herself, "but that will be their mistake." 2 weeks had passed since Su-Jin arrived at the Academy. 2 weeks of being ignored, dismissed, or treated like a curious pet. She sat alone in the main dining hall, watching the other scientists talk and laugh. No one sat at her table. No one even looked her way. "May I join you?" a soft voice asked. Su-Jin looked up to see a small, pink-skinned alien with large, gentle eyes. She had seen this one before in the quantum physics lab. "Please," Su-Jin said, gesturing to the empty chair. "I am Jiho of the Eon," the alien said, setting down a tray of food that looked like glowing blue cubes. "You are the human, yes?" Su-Jin: "Yes, I'm from Earth." Jiho nodded. "Your species is young. My people have been spacefaring for 12,000 years. There was no mockery in Jiho's voice, just a statement of fact. "We have a lot to learn," Su-Jin admitted. "That's why I'm here." "Your dark matter theory was interesting," Jiho said, picking at the blue cubes. "Simple, but interesting." It wasn't quite praise, but it was the closest thing to it that Su-Jin had heard since arriving. "Thank you. I tried to submit my ideas for the quantum resonance project, but they were rejected." Jiho blinked slowly. "Do-hyun leads that project. He does not like outside input." "I noticed," Su-Jin said dryly. "It is not personal," Jiho said. "Humans are just very new to advanced science. Your ways are different." Su-Jin wanted to argue but stopped herself. Different doesn't always mean worse. Jiho seemed to consider this. "Perhaps. I must return to my lab now." "Good day, Su-Jin of Earth." After finishing her meal alone, Su-Jin headed to the library. It had become her sanctuary. While her project proposals were rejected and her lab access limited, no one could stop her from reading. The Academy's library held knowledge from thousands of worlds and millions of years. If they wouldn't let her contribute, she would learn. Su-Jin found a quiet corner and pulled up files on quantum physics, dark matter mechanics, and the history of space travel. She read for hours, taking notes and making connections. That evening, Su-Jin returned to her quarters. To her surprise, she found Jiho waiting outside her door. "The housing director has assigned us as roommates," Jiho explained. "My previous roommate has left the academy." Su-Jin nodded and opened the door. "Come in." Jiho looked around the small room. "You have been working?" she asked, noticing Su-Jin's notes spread across her desk. "Yes, I've been studying quantum resonance patterns." Jiho picked up one of the papers. "This is related to Do-hyun's project." "It is," Su-Jin admitted. "I think there's something they're missing in their approach." Jiho set the paper down carefully. "Do-hyun is brilliant. His species has the highest recorded intelligence in the galaxy. Intelligence isn't everything," Su-Jin said. "Sometimes you need a fresh perspective." Jiho blinked those large eyes. "You truly believe a human could see something that 12 advanced civilizations have missed?" Su-Jin smiled. "It happens more than you'd think. On Earth, breakthrough ideas often come from outsiders, people who aren't stuck in traditional ways of thinking." "Interesting," Jiho said, though she sounded doubtful. "I will take the small sleeping chamber." That night, Su-Jin couldn't sleep. She got up quietly, careful not to wake Jiho, and went back to her notes. There was a pattern here, something just at the edge of her understanding. The next morning, she slipped into the back of a lecture on quantum mechanics. No one noticed her. No one called on her when she raised her hand. She was invisible. But that was okay. Su-Jin watched. She listened. She took notes. And she began to see something in the data that no one was talking about. A pattern in the Academy's energy readings that made her both excited and worried. They might ignore her, but they couldn't stop her from observing. And what she was observing could be very important indeed. Su-Jin closed her notebook and smiled to herself. Being invisible had its advantages. 1 month into her time at the Academy, Su-Jin noticed the first sign of trouble. She was in the main science lab, cleaning test tubes in the corner. No one gave her important work to do, but at least they let her in the lab now. As she worked, the lights flickered briefly. Most people didn't seem to notice, but Su Jin did. 3 days later, it happened again during her shift in the observatory. This time, not just the lights, but all the screens flickered too. A small alarm beeped for 5 seconds, then stopped. What was that? Su Jin asked an older alien working nearby. Power fluctuation. Nothing to worry about, he said without looking at her. But Su Jin did worry. That night, she added the incident to her growing collection of notes. A week later, during a routine test of the Academy's defense shields, the energy levels dropped suddenly. The shields stayed up, but barely. Engineers rushed to fix the problem. Su Jin approached the chief engineer, a 4-armed alien named Yuri. "Excuse me," Su Jin said. "I've noticed a pattern in these energy problems." Yuri barely glanced at her. "Human, this is a technical issue beyond your understanding. But if you look at the timing off, we have it under control." Yuri cut her off. "Please return to your basic studies." The next day, a notice appeared on all screens in the Academy. The Council of Senior Scientists would meet to discuss the recent energy issues. All section leaders were required to attend. Su Jin was not a section leader. She wasn't even an assistant, but she knew she needed to be at that meeting. She found Jiho in their quarters that evening. "Jiho, I need to get into the council meeting tomorrow." Jiho's large eyes blinked rapidly. "That is not possible. You are not ranked high enough. These energy problems are getting worse. I've been tracking them." "Look." Su Jin showed Jiho her notes. "See this pattern? It's not random. Something is building up." Jiho looked at the notes with mild interest. "Your observations are thorough, but the senior scientists will solve this." "Will they? They're not even looking at the whole picture." Jiho sighed. "What do you want me to do? Just tell me where the meeting is and when." The next morning, Su Jin stood outside the grand meeting hall. Senior scientists from all 12 advanced species filed in. Last to arrive was To Wu, the head of the council, a tall, thin alien with skin like polished metal. As the doors began to close, Su Jin slipped inside and stood quietly at the back. If anyone noticed her, they didn't say anything. Tai Wu spoke first. "We face a concerning situation. The energy fluctuations are increasing in frequency and strength." Holograms appeared, showing charts and data. Su Jin recognized some of the patterns from her own notes. "Our engineers have been unable to identify the cause," Ta Wu continued. "We need solutions." Do Hyun stood up. "My team has been studying this. We believe it's a minor malfunction in the main power core." Su Jin frowned. That didn't match her observations at all. Another scientist spoke. "Could it be external interference? Perhaps a new type of cosmic radiation?" The debate continued. Theories were proposed and discussed. None of them matched what Su Jin had observed. Finally, she couldn't stay quiet any longer. She raised her hand. Tai Wu noticed her for the first time. "Who allowed a student in here?" "Especially." He didn't finish the sentence, but everyone knew what he meant. "Especially a human." "I've been tracking the energy fluctuations," Su Jin said quickly before they could throw her out. "There's a clear pattern that suggests." "This is not an educational seminar," Ta Wu interrupted. "This is a council meeting for the most advanced scientific minds in the galaxy." The room fell silent. All eyes were on Su Jin. "Since you're already here," Ta Wu said after a moment, "you may observe. Consider it an educational opportunity. But please refrain from speaking out of turn." The meeting resumed. Su Jin stood silently at the back, listening as they missed the point entirely. In her pocket, her small device continued recording the data. The patterns were getting clearer to her and more worrying. Something bad was coming, and no one was listening. 3 days after the council meeting, the real trouble began. Su Jin was in the dining hall when the lights went out completely. For 5 seconds, everything was dark. Then the emergency lights came on, casting an eerie red glow across the room. A voice came over the speakers. Attention all Academy personnel. We are experiencing a major power failure. Please remain calm and stay where you are. But no one stayed calm. Aliens of all species began talking loudly, some even shouting. Su Jin watched as fear spread through the room. Then gravity failed. Suddenly, everything not bolted down began to float. Food, trays, and even some smaller aliens lifted off the ground. Su Jin grabbed onto a table to keep herself from floating away. What's happening? Someone cried out. The gravity came back just as suddenly, sending everything crashing to the floor. Su Jin landed hard, but managed to stay on her feet. The speakers crackled again. All senior scientists report to emergency control immediately. Su Jin didn't hesitate. She ran toward emergency control, dodging confused aliens in the hallways. She needed to see what was happening. When she reached the control center, chaos reigned. Screens flashed red warnings. Scientists shouted over each other. In the center of it all stood Tawu, trying to restore order. One at a time, he shouted. Yuri, report on the power core. The four-armed engineer looked terrified. The core is still online, but power levels are fluctuating wildly. We can't stabilize them. The shield generators are failing. Another scientist called out. We have only 30% coverage remaining. The artificial gravity system can't maintain consistency. A third added. It will continue to fail at random intervals. Su Jin slipped into the room, staying against the back wall. No one noticed her in the chaos. Do Hyun pushed his way to the front. I have identified the problem, he announced loudly. It's a quantum resonance failure in the main power distribution system. Tawu turned to him. Are you certain? Absolutely. My team has been tracking this issue. We need to increase power to the stabilization grid and force a reset of the system. Su Jin's eyes widened. That was exactly the wrong approach. Based on the patterns she had observed, increasing power would only make the problem worse. She had to speak up. That won't work, she said, stepping forward. It will make things worse. All eyes turned to her. Do Hyun's face darkened with anger. What is she doing here? He demanded. This is an emergency situation for qualified scientists only. The human is correct, came a quiet voice. It was Jae-ho, standing by one of the monitoring stations. Increasing power could be dangerous. Ridiculous, Do Hyun sneered. What would either of you know about quantum resonance? The Nari wrote the foundational theories on the subject. Tawu raised a hand for silence. We don't have time for debates. Do Hyun's approach is backed by established science. Prepare to implement his solution. Please, Su Jin begged, at least look at my data first. The pattern suggests. The room shook violently. Several scientists fell to the floor. A large crack appeared in one wall. The structural integrity fields are failing, someone shouted. We have minutes, not hours. Implement Do Hyun's solution now, Ta-woo ordered. Do Hyun smiled triumphantly at Su Jin as technicians rushed to carry out the orders. Watch and learn, human. This is how real scientists solve problems. Su Jin's heart sank as she watched them make preparations. Based on her observations, Do Hyun's solution would accelerate the resonance cascade, not stop it. The entire academy could be destroyed. She looked around desperately. No one would listen to her. No one believed a human could understand something they didn't. The floor shook again. Time was running out. Su Jin knew what she had to do. If they wouldn't listen, she would have to act alone. Su Jin rushed back to her quarters. She needed her notes and her small computer device. The academy shook again as she ran through the corridors. Twice, the gravity failed, and she had to grab onto wall fixtures to keep from floating away. In her room, she gathered her materials quickly. Her hands trembled as she reviewed her calculations one last time. She was right. She knew she was right. Do Hyun's solution would make the quantum resonance worse, not better. The door slid open. Jiho stood there, breathing hard. What are you doing? Jaiho asked. Trying to save us all, Su-jin replied, not looking up from her device. Du-hyun's approach will accelerate the resonance cascade. We have maybe 2 hours before the entire academy is destroyed. Jaiho moved closer, looking at Su-jin's calculations. How can you be sure? Look at these patterns. Su-jin pointed to her screen. The energy fluctuations follow a clear quantum wave function. Adding more power will amplify it, not dampen it. Jaiho was quiet for a long moment. I believe you might be right, she finally said. But they won't listen to you. Then I need to find someone who will, Su-jin said, standing up. Is there anyone on the council who might listen to reason instead of reputation? Jaiho thought for a moment. Hyunwoo. He leads the theoretical physics division. He has questioned Du-hyun's theories before. Where can I find him? His lab is in Section 4, but we must hurry. They are already preparing Du-hyun's solution. The two of them raced through the increasingly unstable academy. Alarms blared constantly now. Twice they had to take detours around areas where the structure was failing. They found Hyunwoo in his lab, frantically working at a complex machine. He was older than most of the scientists Su-jin had met, with pale blue skin that had faded with age. Scientist Hyunwoo, Jaiho said respectfully, we need to speak with you urgently. Hyunwoo looked up, his 3 eyes blinking in surprise. Jaiho of the Yun. And the human. He sounded tired. What is it? I'm very busy trying to save my life's work before the academy falls apart. The academy doesn't have to fall apart, Su-jin said, stepping forward. I know what's causing the energy fluctuations, and I know how to stop them. Hyunwoo looked at her skeptically. Du-hyun's solution is already being implemented. Du-hyun's solution will kill us all, Su-jin said firmly. She held out her device. Please, just look at my data. To her surprise, Hyunwoo took the device. He studied it carefully, his 3 eyes moving independently as they scanned different parts of the screen. These patterns, he murmured, they do suggest a more complex resonance than Du-hyun's model accounts for. Hope surged in Su-jin's chest. Exactly. If we increase power to the stabilization grid as he suggests, it will amplify the resonance, not stop it. Hyunwoo handed the device back. Your analysis is interesting. For a human, you show remarkable insight. Then you'll help us stop them? Su-jin asked eagerly. Hyunwoo sighed. I'm afraid not. While your theory has merit, it contradicts centuries of established quantum mechanics. Du-hyun's approach is based on proven nary science. But the evidence is inconclusive. Hyunwoo interrupted gently. And in a crisis, we must rely on established knowledge, not untested theories from less advanced species. The floor shook violently. A shelf of equipment crashed to the floor. We're running out of time, Jaiho said urgently. I appreciate your effort, human, Hyunwoo said, turning back to his work. It is admirable. But our understanding of quantum physics is simply beyond your species' comprehension. Su-jin stared at him in disbelief. Even with the evidence right in front of him, he couldn't see past his prejudice. As they left the lab, Jaiho touched Su-jin's arm gently. I'm sorry. I thought he would listen. It's not your fault, Su-jin said. Her mind was racing. If they won't listen, then I'll have to take matters into my own hands. What do you mean? Jaiho asked, looking worried. I mean I'm going to save this place, whether they want me to or not. The power core room was filled with a bright, pulsing light. Through the window, Su-jin could see Du-hyun's team increasing power to the stabilization grid. The core's energy was becoming more unstable by the second. We need to get in there now, Su-jin said, finishing her device. It was small, about the size of her hand, made from parts that weren't meant to go together. They won't let us in, Jaiho warned. Then we don't ask. Su-jin moved to the door that connected the access room to the main core chamber. She pulled a small tool from her pocket and worked on the control panel. What are you doing? Jaiho asked, nervously watching the door. Something my grandfather taught me. He was a mechanic back on Earth. The panel sparked, and the door slid open. Sometimes the simplest approaches work best. They stepped into the core chamber. The noise was incredible, a high-pitched whine that made Su-jin's teeth hurt. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Do-hyun stood at the main control panel, his back to them. He was shouting orders to his team as they continued to increase power to the grid. The resonance is growing stronger. One of his assistants called out, "This isn't working. Increase power by another 20%. Do-hyun ordered. The Nari approach never fails. The academy shook so hard that everyone struggled to stay on their feet. Equipment fell from tables and smashed on the floor. "Stop!" Su-jin shouted over the noise. "You're making it worse." Everyone turned. Do-hyun's face twisted with anger when he saw her. "Security," he yelled. "Remove this human immediately." But the security guards were busy trying to keep the equipment from falling apart. No one moved to stop Su-jin as she pushed her way to the core's access panel. "What are you doing?" Do-hyun demanded, grabbing her arm. "Get away from there." Su-jin pulled free. "I'm saving your lives." She connected her device to the panel. "Your approach is amplifying the resonance, not stopping it. Look at the readings." The main screen showed energy levels climbing rapidly into the red zone. Warning signals flashed everywhere. "The containment field is failing," someone shouted. "We have minutes at most." "Clear the room," Do-hyun ordered. "Begin evacuation procedures." "There's no time to evacuate everyone," Su-jin said, working quickly on her device. "We need to stop this now." Jae-ho stepped forward. "Let her try. What do we have to lose?" Do-hyun hesitated, looking from the failing core to Su-jin's small device. "What is that thing supposed to do?" "It's a feedback dampener," Su-jin explained, not looking up from her work. "It targets the specific quantum frequency causing the resonance cascade." That's not possible with such a simple device," Do-hyun protested. "It doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be correctly tuned." Su-jin made a final adjustment. "In my research on Earth, I found that sometimes the most elegant solutions are the simplest ones." The room shook again. A large crack appeared in the wall behind them. "Now or never," Su-jin muttered. She pressed a button on her device. For a second, nothing happened. Then the high-pitched whine began to fade. The pulsing light of the core steadied. On the main screen, energy levels started to drop from the red zone. "It's working," Jae-ho said in amazement. Su-jin continued to adjust her device, fine-tuning it as the core stabilized. "The resonance was between your quantum field and the dark matter containment system," she explained. "They were never designed to work together, but over time they started to affect each other." The shaking stopped. The alarms quieted. The core's light returned to its normal, steady glow. The room fell silent as everyone stared at Su-jin and her small, improvised device. What the most advanced scientific minds in the galaxy couldn't solve with their sophisticated equipment, she had fixed with parts from a student lab. "How did you know this would work?" Do-hyun finally asked, his voice much quieter than before. Su-jin looked up at him. "Because sometimes you need to step back to see the whole picture. And sometimes being underestimated is your greatest advantage." The door to the power core room burst open. Tai-woo rushed in, followed by other senior scientists. They stopped when they saw the calm core and the silent alarms. "What happened?" Tai-woo demanded. "Our sensors showed critical failure. Then, nothing." Do-hyun opened his mouth, then closed it again. He looked at Su-jin. Su-jin stood by the control panel, her small device still connected to it. She was tired but calm. "The human fixed it," Jae-ho said when no one else spoke. Su-jin stopped the resonance cascade. Tai-woo's metallic face showed confusion. "That's not possible. And yet, here we are," Su-jin said, gesturing to the stable core. "The academy is no longer in danger." With that, Hyunwoo pushed forward, staring at Su Jin's device. What is it? A quantum feedback dampener, Su Jin explained. It targets the specific frequency it was causing the problem. Show me how it works, Hyunwoo demanded. Su Jin nodded and began to explain. She kept her words simple, breaking down the complex quantum interactions in terms everyone could understand. She showed them the patterns she had observed over weeks, the connections between systems that no one had noticed. You identified this pattern weeks ago? Ta Wu asked, his voice surprised. Yes, I tried to tell you at the council meeting, but Su Jin didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Tai Wu looked troubled. Why didn't our scientists see this? Because they only look at their own areas of expertise, Su Jin said. The quantum physicists don't talk to the dark matter specialists. The energy engineers don't consult with the field theorists. Everyone is so specialized that no one sees how systems interact with each other. The room was quiet. The senior scientists looked at each other uncomfortably. On Earth, Su Jin continued, our scientists often work across different fields. We have to. We're still learning, still making connections. We don't have the luxury of thousands of years of established knowledge. Sometimes that's an advantage. Do Hyun stepped forward. His usual arrogance was gone. Your solution is effective, he admitted. Not elegant by our standards, but effective. Effectiveness matters more than elegance when lives are at stake, Su Jin replied. Hyunwoo was examining Su Jin's device closely. This combines principles from 3 different fields of study, he said, sounding impressed despite himself. Dark matter containment, quantum field theory, and energy wave dynamics. No nary would have thought to combine them. No either, Jaiho added quietly. Perhaps, Ta Wu said slowly, we have been too quick to dismiss the human perspective. Perhaps, Su Jin agreed. She unplugged her device from the panel. The resonance is stable now, but you should reconfigure your systems to prevent it from happening again. I can show you how. You will, Ta Wu said firmly. And we will listen this time. Engineers began to work on the core, following Su Jin's guidance. The senior scientists huddled together, talking in low voices. Jiho stayed by Su Jin's side, helping her explain her solution to the technical team. Do Hyun approached them after a while. He seemed uncomfortable, his usual confidence gone. I must acknowledge, he said stiffly, that I was wrong about you, human. Your solution saved the academy when mine would have destroyed it. Su Jin nodded, accepting his words without gloating. How did you know you were right? He asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. Without centuries of established science to support your theory, how could you be so confident? Su Jin smiled slightly. Humans have had to trust our observations and instincts to survive. When you're a young species on a dangerous planet, you learn to act on incomplete information, or you don't survive. A valuable skill, Do Hyun admitted, one that perhaps the older species have forgotten. As they talked, messages were already spreading throughout the academy and beyond. The human had saved them all. The human had seen what no one else could see. Everything was about to change. 3 weeks after the crisis, the academy held a special ceremony. The Great Hall was filled with scientists, students, and visitors from across the galaxy. Su Jin stood on the stage next to Ta Wu, feeling nervous but proud. Today, we honor not just an individual, Ta Wu announced to the crowd, but a lesson. A lesson about the danger of assumptions and the value of different perspectives. The audience was silent, all eyes on the small human among the tall, strange aliens. Su Jin of Earth saved this academy when our most brilliant minds could not, Ta Wu continued. She saw patterns we missed. She made connections we overlooked. And in doing so, she taught us the most valuable lesson of all. True wisdom comes from listening to all voices, not just the loudest or most familiar. Ta Wu turned to Su Jin and handed her a small glowing crystal. I present you with the Academy's highest honor, the Star of Innovation. and I announced the creation of a new research division under your leadership, focused on cross-disciplinary studies." The crowd applauded. Su-jin saw Jae-ho in the front row, clapping enthusiastically. Even Do-hyun was applauding, a new respect in his eyes. "Thank you," Su-jin said when the applause died down. She spoke clearly, knowing her words would be shared across the galaxy. "I came to the academy to learn, and I have learned much. But I hope I have also taught something. That progress often comes from unexpected places, and that sometimes the outsider's view is exactly what's needed." After the ceremony, Su-jin returned to her quarters to find them transformed. No longer the small plain room she had been given on arrival, she now had a spacious suite befitting her new position. Jae-ho visited her that evening. "You've become famous," she said. "News of what you did has reached every corner of the galaxy, even Earth." Su-jin smiled. "How are they taking it on Earth?" "Applications from humans to the academy have increased by 5,000%, Jae-ho said, her large eyes blinking with amusement. "The council is creating a special program just for human students." "Good," Su-jin said. "We have much to learn from each other." Do-hyun asked to join your research team, Jae-ho added. "He said he wants to understand the human approach to problem solving." Su-jin laughed. Things really have changed. The next day, Su-jin began her work as director of the new cross-disciplinary research division. Scientists from all species applied to join her team, eager to learn her methods. What had once been dismissal had turned to fascination. 6 months later, she stood before the Academy Council again. This time, not as an outsider, but as a respected leader. "The incident we now call the human factor has changed how we approach scientific problems," she explained to the council. "By combining perspectives from different disciplines and different species, we've solved 3 major problems that had stumped us for decades." Tae-woo nodded approvingly. "Your approach has proven its value. The council has voted to make cross-disciplinary training mandatory for all academy students." "And what of Earth's status?" Su-jin asked. "Earth is now classified as a partner world, with full access to academy resources and knowledge," Tae-woo announced. "Your people have much to offer, as you have shown us." That evening, Su-jin sent a message to her family on Earth, sharing the good news. As she looked out at the stars from her window, she thought about how far she had come. From being ignored and dismissed to changing how the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy approached science. All because they had made one critical mistake. They had ignored the human girl. In the vast darkness of space, Earth glowed like a tiny blue jewel. Small, yes. Young, certainly, but no longer overlooked. And as new human students arrived at the academy each day, Su-jin knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity's journey among the stars had truly begun.